welcome back to College Hill Farm. Today we're making cornbread. Well, Crystal's gone to Georgia for a visit with her sisters, and I'm left here batching it alone. Well, I hate to cook every night of the week. I'm not going out and eating every night of the week either, because the food they have aren't nearly as good as what we use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some homemade cornbread. Exactly the same cornbread that my mother made, that my grandmother made. We lived in Appalachia. Rather than calling it Southern cornbread, I'd call it Appalachian cornbread. So, without talking it to death, I'll bring you over and let's get at it. First off, let's talk about our ingredients. Well, the first thing you need is a nice big round skillet. Now this skillet is a 10.5 inch skillet. It's just perfect for the amount of cornbread we're going to do. You'll need 2 cups cornmeal mix, 1 1/3 cup of milk, and that may vary a little bit when we get to mixing it up. If it's too wet, I'll add some cornmeal. If it's not wet enough, I'll add some more milk. All right, for any time you're doing cornbread, you want to do 2 eggs or 1 egg for every cup of cornmeal. That makes the cornmeal, the cornbread, a lot heavier and denser, and it really makes it good. Now, vegetable oil, doesn't care what variety. So what you do, I know that a lot of people say, well, you should put the vegetable oil in here. I'm not going to put any vegetable oil in with the other wet ingredients. I'm going to put the vegetable oil right here in my skillet. And that's how much vegetable oil I put in there. You need a lot. There's probably a good 1/4 inch over the entire skillet. Alright, now I'm going to preheat my oven to 450 degrees, and I'm going to set this skillet over here on the eye of the stove to get warm. Turn that eye on medium high and set my oven to 450. Oven set. Now, what you want to do is you let that skillet heat up on the eye of the stove and get that oil hot. And then I'm going to put my 2 eggs. 1, 2 eggs, and then all of the milk. I think I'm going to reserve back a little milk. I think I may have went a little overboard on it. So now, I like to stir it with a fork to help get it all stirred up. And the reason I like to use a fork is that you can get down in the edges of these little bowls with the tines and get all that cornmeal pulled up and not leave spots. And if you look at that, it should fall off your fork pretty easy, and that's about right. So I think I'm just going to stop there. I'm not going to add any more milk. And now we just wait. All right, our oven's preheated. Our skillet is good and warm. Our batter's good and loose. I'll add a little more water because I like that to be a little bit looser than that. A little more milk rather than instead of water. Yeah, that looks good. Now let's get over here to the stove. This is good and hot. So don't make the mistake of getting right over it when you start pouring. I want the grease to be good and hot. Let's get this stirred in well. I may have to grab a spoon here to help get it all in. See what it does. That is going to make some extra crispy on the outside cornbread. Now, using a pot holder, I'm going to get that right in a preheated 450 degree oven. Now, that'll be in the oven for somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, our timer's gone off, so it's time to get our cornbread out of the oven. A couple pot holders, because it'll be hot. Okay, it's very hot, and there's still some oil, so I'm going to take this, turn it over the skillet, and get the cornbread out, but I'm going to do it over the sink. Okay, and there is a nice pone cornbread. It's a little darker than I would have liked, but it will eat just fine. Do you ever smell a smell and it reminds you of your mom? My mother used to make cornbread like this and beans, and she'd be cooking them at the same time, which is what I'm doing tonight. And I'm cooking cornbread and beans together, and I smell that smell. Mom's been gone 16 years, but it's almost like she's here in the room with me. So let's get this cut and have a look. Now, what it does, it's a nice crispy bread. Because of the extra oil, and we don't put the oil, it's a nice crispy cornbread. It's not too flaky, it holds together good. It looks like it needs a nice dollop of butter. It's exactly what it needs to help it do its thing. Just a little butter. And that is Appalachian Style Cornbread. I gotta try that bite. Oh, it's good. Now, for one final note before we go, you can't have a discussion about Appalachian Style Cornbread without having a discussion about the delicacy that it provides in something called cornbread and milk. Now, my grandfather and father thought this was the best thing since sliced bread, but I think it's pretty good too. After a meal, they would always save room and take a coffee cup and crumble up a piece of cornbread in it. Now, I'm going to leave the crust because I like that. So they would put the cornbread in there and then take some milk. This is just 1%. Whole milk's better, but take a little milk, and that's their dessert. You know, that is an awesome little dessert. I actually like it too. I was raised on it. Got that crunchy outer part, and then the soft cornbread in the center, soaked in that milk. It is so good. Couldn't get by without showing you that one. Now, if you like this kind of stuff, this homesteading kind of stuff, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. If you hit the little bell, it'll notify you when we upload videos. We upload videos every Sunday, sometimes 1, sometimes 5, depending on what's going on the homestead that week. So with that being said, it's time for me to get on to the next thing and sample some more of this cornbread.